welcome to another episode of Other Items of Interest. I'm your host, Jack Zablocki. On this week's show, we have suicide songs for kids. That's right. We also learn that Grandma's not dead yet. And we learn about quantum speed reading. It's bullshit. All that and more on this week's Other Items of Interest. Hello and welcome to another episode of Other Items of Interest. I'm your host, Jack Zablocki. Today we have a fine show for you today. Real good, Jack. Real good way to mess up the intro. Today we have a fine show for you today. Redundant much? Maybe we don't have a fine show for you today, because it started out like crap so far. Let's try to get back on track, shall we? Here's some good news. We should be on Pandora pretty soon with the podcast. My message came through in email of what to do to get on there. I had signed up for it, it feels like months ago, but finally got word that I should do this, that, the other thing, and pick which episodes, what content I wanted on there through my hosting service, Libsyn. And I just did the last 26 episodes. I think there are 31, 32 episodes altogether. Maybe more. I don't keep track. But I do know the early episodes they sound like they were recorded in a cave. I don't much care for them. You can still find them on other platforms, just you won't find them on Pandora. I do keep them up elsewhere because it is interesting to listen to the evolution of the show. You ever check out somebody popular on YouTube and you look at their early shows, early episodes, and it's just, you see what they've become, and I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly. You see the evolution of the show. Simple as that. I don't know why I'm trying to make it difficult. So yeah, Pandora soon. I don't know when. I'll let you know when it's final. Maybe in a week, maybe 2 weeks. Pandora seems like a strange platform. I'm going to trash it now. Pandora seems like a strange platform for podcasts. I know Sirius XM owns them now, so I don't know what their whole plan of action is for Pandora, but it's another platform to be heard on, so yay for that. I think I'm going to stop using Twitter that often. Don't much care for it. It's too much going on. Too much yapping away. I'd consider myself a bit of an introvert, so the idea of talking to strangers online doesn't sit well with me. It's not for me. I guess I could have somebody else do it, but I don't trust anybody else. So I find myself between a rock and a hard place. I guess this whole monologue is going to be me complaining and being negative. Not what I was aiming for, but you get what you get. I'd say I have social media anxiety. I don't use social media really at all in my private life. Just for the show, just Twitter and Instagram, and I think that's all we use really. I like Instagram. You just post a picture, write a little caption, check out the other people's pictures, give them a little heart when you like it. Simple. Easy. Twitter, there's likes and retweets and conversations going on. You're trying to figure out who's replying to who and where. I'm not going to close the Twitter down, but I'm certainly going to be using it less. Well then, We have a fine show for you today. Let's get back to that. Right up at the top of the show, we have a PCP story. I don't understand why anybody does PCP. It seems like the worst experience you can go through, other than maybe war. Every article I've ever read about PCP just sounds like a nightmare, a living nightmare. And this one is not that much different than a living nightmare. Also, I got the article about traffic lights. I know. Settle down. It's exciting, traffic lights. But this engineer was kind of pissed that his wife got a red light ticket for running a red light. And she was making a turn on a yellow. And he figured out that the red light had only been red for about 0.12 seconds. So he started doing the math and figured out yellow lights aren't long enough. And he had to go through a whole ordeal about getting heard, his traffic light theory. But he prevailed, and it sounds like they're going to be changing the yellow traffic light worldwide. Make it a little bit longer. It doesn't sound like an exciting story, but the guy changed the world. And we got a couple of other stories. Nothing too strange this week, sorry. Well, that's not completely true. There's we do have an article on haunted eBay items, which is always fun. People sell their haunted vase, haunted dolls, stuff like that. So that's some of what we have in store for you today, this week, this episode. Here, now. Let's get on with it. This has gone on for far too long. Okay, here we go. From mylondon.news. And since it is an English article, and it has to do with mothers, they call them mum. So I'll be saying mum. I don't want to, but it's the article. What are you going to do? Mum's fury after Dulwich Primary School plays song about suicide to 11-year-olds. That's always fun. Nice song about suicide to get the kids riled up. Make them want to learn. Mums of pupils at West Dulwich Primary School were left furious after teachers accidentally played a song about suicide to 11-year-olds. Teachers at Rosendale Primary School played the song called the Muffin Song, which played to Key Stage 2 pupils last Tuesday, October 22nd. Muffin Song sounds pleasant. I don't know. Let's read on. The children in the group, who line up quickly in the morning, get to choose a song that is played to the school at lunchtime. One of the pupils picked the song, and it was played in both playgrounds. The song involves a muffin singing about how much it wants to die. Lyrics include, "Even though letting go feels right, I can't afford to say goodbye. You and I are bound together." And, "Hey, somebody kill me, please. It's muffin time. I want to die, die, die." I don't see anything wrong with that. In one comment, a YouTube user described the song as the most positive suicide song I've ever heard. A spokesperson from the school, there we go, a spokesperson, not spokesman, not spokeswoman. The PC world is taken over. I really am not. I'm not against spokesperson. If you've heard me in previous episodes, I prefer spokesperson to spokesman or spokeswoman. It just seems more normal to me. Why am I getting off topic? I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent. A spokesperson from the school told My London, children are allowed to choose a song, and one of the children chose the Muffin Song. A parent complained, so it's not something that will ever be played again. It was not parental advisory or explicit. If it was, it wouldn't have been played. It's something children have listened to at home. That is how they knew to request it. In response, the school have said they will tighten up the screening process. One mother described it on social media as appalling. She said, schools should not be playing things like this. Absolutely disgusting. There's far worse things they could have played. The impact this has on a child's thought process at such a young age is terrible. I don't know, I think an 11-year-old, maybe not all 11-year-olds, but they're getting up in age towards the teenage years. They know what's going on. They don't know everything that's going on, but they're getting an idea. Another mother said, nobody of any age should be subjected to this, let alone children of primary school age. It barely makes sense, and the content that might make some sense is negative and destructive. And that's that. I should have gone and looked for the Muffin Song to listen to it on YouTube, but I did not. I don't know. I wish they gave some more lyrics. For the context of the article. I mean, what the hell's going on with this muffin? Will somebody think of the muffins? From suicidal muffins to PCP. Seems like something you would hallucinate on PCP, a suicidal muffin. Also, I just want to make mention, this article takes place in a town called Germantown. I'm not talking about a town in Germany. It's called Germantown. Just to clear up any confusion before confusion occurs. Headline reads, man high on PCP breaks into Germantown Walmart, uses hair clippers on $2 pumpkin. What got me most about this article is that Walmart has $2 pumpkins. I went to a nursery to look for a pumpkin. They wanted like $20 for a pumpkin. How ridiculous is that? Anyway, this comes from foxbaltimore.com. A PCP-induced bender led a D.C. man to break into a local Walmart, use hair clippers on a pumpkin, and get physical with store employees, Montgomery County Police allege in court documents obtained by ABC 7. Around 3:30 a.m. on October 1st, Marquis Dudley, 26, and they actually give his address right here in the article, which I'm not going to do on the podcast. Marquis Dudley, 26, allegedly entered the non-24-hour Walmart through the pharmacy doors. A store employee spotted Dudley allegedly kick a phone display, causing a glass door to fall off its hinges. Dudley also reportedly cut a $2 pumpkin with hair clippers. Did he think he was going to carve the pumpkin with the clippers? Did he think he was giving it a haircut? I don't know. A handful of Walmart workers attempted to remove Dudley from the discount department store. However, the 6-foot, 255-pound man resisted until police arrived. That's what you want to deal with on your night shift. A 6-foot, 255-pound man on PCP. Holy shit. Dudley was incoherent, confused, and had difficulty with his speech, police noted in court documents. They searched Dudley's bag and located 2 glass vials containing liquid with a strong chemical odor emanating from them. When police questioned Dudley about the vials' content, he claimed they contained oils that he used because women liked it. Authorities later determined the liquid was in fact PCP, which I don't think women like. Not in general, anyway. This isn't the first time PCP use has caused trouble at the Germantown Walmart. Last December, I remember this story. Last December, a Salvation Army bell ringer punched a customer in the face, ran into the parking lot, and nearly got hit by passing vehicles. the bell ringer, David Kelly, 40, of Germantown, proceeded to roll around on the cold parking lot pavement while declaring, "I am John Wayne." As officers arrived on the scene, Kelly thrust his pelvis in a sexual manner and stated, "Ladies." I'm not making this up. This is the article. It's making me sound like I went off the deep end. Those officers resorted to tackling the incensed bell ringer after their tasers didn't properly subdue him. Kelly ultimately pleaded guilty to drug possession and was sentenced to 30 days in jail and issued $157 in fines, court records show. In the current Halloween PCP case, Montgomery County District Court Judge Amy Bills issued Dudley a $5,000 bond. He was released the same day. According to Maryland Judiciary Case Search, authorities last arrested Dudley. I'm not going to go through all this. It tells you everything Dudley has ever done wrong. We don't need to go through that. He's suffered enough public humiliation. So yeah, kids, don't do PCP. Don't listen to the Muffin Song. And we'll get on to the next story and we'll figure out what not to do according to that. Okay. This is a hell of a headline. Angus man who tried to fly drone into Perth prison claimed Romanian circus stole his chihuahua. From the courier.co.uk. Philip Morton was found hiding in a hedge near Perth prison and claimed he was searching for his pet chihuahua as it had been dog-napped by Romanian circus troupe. Sheriff Pino D. Amidio described Morton's shaggy dog story as fanciful and said, "It was one of the most remarkable lines of defense I've ever heard." Morton, then of Kirriemuir, now living in Portsmouth, was found guilty at a trial of trying to fly a drone into the jail when Perth Sheriff Court heard how Morton was caught red-handed after driving the getaway car into a cul-de-sac and being found hiding in the bushes. What the fuck is going on with this story? The 33-year-old was heard rustling in the undergrowth after prison officers chased the 70-mile-per-hour drone away from the outer wall of Perth prison. Morton was spotted putting the drone into the boot of his Audi, but he drove up a dead end and the officers blocked his escape. He clambered over a 6-foot fence to try to escape and used his remote locking key to deadlock the car with the active drone in the boot. Morton claimed he was near the prison in the dead of night because he believed Romanian circus performers had stolen one of his pet chihuahuas. He said, "We were told the circus left the dogs outside at night. As daft as it might sound, I brought the dog's father, Archie, to see if he could find it." Morton then claimed he was found in the bushes because he had downed a liter of vodka and had collapsed in the middle of the dog hunt. He said he had... I don't know what I'm reading. He said he had been using the drone to search the riverbank for the dog. Co-accused Cheryl Davey, 38, was cleared after the sheriff ruled there was insufficient evidence to convict her. She was found walking several miles away from the scene sometime later. Prison officers told the trial they could see the drone, still switched on, in the boot of the Audi Q3 alongside Morton and Davey's dog Archie. Scaffolder Morton was found guilty of trying to use a drone to fly a mobile phone into Perth prison on September 18, 2016. He also admitted having a phone in the prison on May 4, 2016. So there's that. I have no commentary on this. So, next story. Traffic lights worldwide set to change after Swedish engineer saw red over getting a ticket. From the register.co.uk. A Swedish engineer's umbrage at a traffic ticket has led to a 6-year legal fight and now a global change in the speed with which traffic light signals are timed. After Matt Jarlstrom lost an initial legal challenge in 2014, a federal judge in January this year ruled Oregon's rules prohibiting people from representing themselves as engineers without a professional license from the state are unconstitutional. And by the way, this story takes place in Beaverton, Oregon, where they had a rule or a law that you needed a license to claim to be an engineer, and that's somebody judged that to be unconstitutional. So I guess it's changed now. Let's get back to the article. And now Jarlstrom's calculations and advocacy have led the Institute of Transportation Engineers, ITE, to revisit its guidelines for the timing of traffic signals. As a result, yellow lights around the globe could burn for longer. ITE is an international advisory group with members in 90 countries. Jarlstrom discovered the problem with the timing of traffic lights in Beaverton, Oregon, after his wife Lori received a $260 ticket for a red light violation from an automated traffic light camera in 2013. Jarlstrom, who studied electrical engineering in Sweden, challenged the ticket, arguing the timing interval for yellow lights fails to account for scenarios like a driver entering an intersection and slowing to make a turn. A slightly longer interval, he argued, would allow drivers making turns on a yellow light to exit intersections before the light turned red. Even a small timing increase would help. The automatically generated ticket in this case was issued 0.12 seconds after the light turned red. That's not even fair. I know you're not supposed to run a red light, but 0.12 seconds? Come on. When Jarlstrom brought the issue to the Oregon State Board of Examiners for Engineering and Land Surveying, the state board opened an investigation in 2015 and fined him $500 the following year for practicing engineering without a professional license. Oregon is a very nice state. Don't let this article make you think otherwise. Thanks to the assistance of the Institute for Justice, a legal advocacy organization focused on limiting the scope of government, Jarlstrom has won not only the right to refer to himself as an engineer, a refund of the surveying board fine, and the removal of the moving violation from his car insurance premium, but also the opportunity to fix a formula that has governed traffic light timing since 1960. Since the injunction prohibiting Oregon from enforcing its unconstitutional speech restriction, Jarlstrom has been working with other engineers and advocates to change the way traffic lights work. Over the summer, an ITE panel met to hear arguments along those lines, and last month it agreed light timing should be reconsidered. And here in the middle of the article we have math equations. I don't know what I'm looking at. I can't explain it. You can check it out through the show notes at www.otheritemsofinterest.com if you feel so inclined. The yellow traffic signal was first conceived in 1920, and in 1960, scientists Dinos Gatsis, Robert Herman, and Alexei Marudin presented the foundational science still in use today, Jarlstrom said in an email to the Register. It is a historic moment to now update the science by extending the 1960 solution to also be applicable to turning maneuvers. Jarlstrom said if the ITE accepts his solution, the duration of yellow light in the right turn scenario he described in 2015 would be extended from 3.2 seconds to 4.5 seconds using current input values, driver vehicle perception, reaction time, and maximum safe, comfortable deceleration. Such timing may vary depending on other considerations, but in general, the adoption of Jarlstrom's formula should result in slightly longer yellow lights. Because let me tell you something, where I live, people love running yellow lights. It's so bad that half of them become red light runners. It's insane. Dangerous too. I don't like it. The ITE staff will develop and formalize the proposed changes to produce a final document called the Recommended Practice that will be submitted to the ITE Board of Directors for final approval in early 2020. Jarlstrom said it has been a long process to reach this point. In addition to his own efforts, he credited the support of Alexei Marudin, Jay Bieber, Brian Cicerelli, and the National Motorist Association's Joe Bahn. He also said the test equipment made by UK-based RaceLogic provided a way to prove his theories. Our common goal is to improve traffic safety and fairness through our signalized intersections worldwide, said Jarlstrom. In a way, history is repeating itself. The initial 1960 light timing work came about because one of the scientists involved believed he'd been wrongly ticketed. In email correspondence with Jarlstrom, Marudin, I don't know how to say this guy's name, Marudin, that sounds good. Marudin explained that he became a co-author of the 1960 paper because another co-author, Robert Herman, invited him to spend time at the General Motors Technical Center to work on traffic light math. Herman did so, Marudin said, because he had received a red light ticket that he felt was unfair. So yeah, longer yellow lights. Can't be a bad thing. Right? Maybe? I can't see how it could be a bad thing. Whatever. Don't you hate it when you die and you're not really dead, but they're going to cremate you anyway? It's a bummer. Grandmother, 70, is saved from being cremated alive when her husband noticed she was still breathing moments before. From the dailymail.co.uk. And that headline, that's pretty much the story. But I'm going to read it anyway. Got to fill time somehow. A 70-year-old grandmother was saved from being cremated alive when her husband noticed she was still breathing, the family has claimed. Finnish Sopajorn had been taken to a local temple in Thailand for a Buddhist funeral and was kept in a cold coffin for 3 days. When the casket was unloaded, her husband, Thawin Sopajorn, 73, began washing her face with a damp flannel, a traditional funeral custom. Just before Mrs. Sopajorn's body was about to be loaded into the incinerator, Mr. Sopajorn says he noticed that she was gently breathing and that her eyelids were flickering. He immediately called for help, and paramedics arrived and performed CPR before declaring that Mrs. Sopajorn was still alive. The family took her body home, where they laid it out next to a warm fan and put hot water bottles on her chest. Mr. Sopajorn said that he had suspected his wife was still alive because her body had not stiffened. He said, "After she stopped breathing on Sunday, we put her into the coffin, and I thought it was strange that her body was not stiff. I bathed her, and her body still moved. Then, during the funeral, I was the last person to touch her before the cremation. I wished for her to live a happy next life, and then I saw her eyes start to move. I am so glad that I was right about her being alive. I gave her a hug and called my children, but they thought I had a hallucination. However, they had to believe me as my daughter-in-law, who is a doctor, checked and confirmed that she was alive, but her pulse was very weak. The doctor called the paramedics, and they performed CPR on the grandmother. She was breathing and had a pulse, but was not responsive or able to talk. The family are currently nursing her at home while they monitor her condition, though she is not expected to pull through. Mr. Sopajorn added, "My wife's condition is severe, and I don't think she can ever be cured, but she was still alive, and it was not her time to die. If she was cremated while she was alive, this would be very bad." That's an understatement. How could we allow that? It would be the wrong thing to happen. I'm very thankful that I noticed my wife was still alive. We will continue caring for her until she has passed away. Kind of bittersweet. Yeah. Australian animals are the best. They're vicious, poisonous, toxic, primitive. Australian water rats cut cane toads open with surgical precision to feast on their hearts. As I was saying, Australian animals, you don't mess with them. This is a good thing because cane toads are invasive. And the rats need to eat, so win-win situation. Australian water rats have learned how to kill cane toads, eat their hearts, and carve out their organs with surgical precision. In only 2 years, highly intelligent native Rackali in the Kimberley region of Western Australia discovered how to safely destroy the deadly toad by removing its gallbladder and feasting on the heart. The rats even targeted the biggest, most poisonous toads they could find, leaving their bodies strewn by the riverside, according to research published in Australian Mammalogy. Cane toads were first introduced into Queensland in the 1930s and have been marching slowly west ever since, devastating native animals and driving them towards extinction. The toads first arrived on a site monitored by the researchers in Western Australia in 2011. But to their surprise, the scientists found the native water rat, better known as the Rackali, was fighting back. The highly intelligent rodent has extremely sharp claws and teeth and can grow up to 1 kilogram in weight. Dr. Marissa Parrott, the paper's co-author, said the scientists began to see dead toads appear cut open in a very distinctive way. It was a small area of creek, 3 to 5 meters in size, and every day we were finding new dead cane toads, she said, up to 5 every single morning. They were flipping them over, making a very distinctive, almost surgical precision cut down the chest. They would even remove the gallbladder outside the body, which contains toxic bile salts. They knew to remove that bit. In the medium-sized toads, as well as eating the heart and liver, they would strip off the toxic skin from one or both legs and eat the non-toxic thigh muscle. Water rat is very interesting. I don't know what else to say about the water rat. Just very interesting that they knew how to do this. We're going to learn why, though. Why did they learn how to do this? They have very strong, sharp teeth, very dexterous little hands. They can pick up a fish or a yabby and open them up very quickly and target the areas they like. According to the paper, researchers observed 38 toad carcasses floating in the river or on the creek bank over 15 days. All carcasses had an incision in the chest area measuring, on average, 10.8 millimeters vertically and 12.2 millimeters horizontally, it said. There was no evidence of bites to the head or the body of the partially consumed toads. Rather, the rats appeared to hold the toad on its back and then incise the thoracic cavity to consume organs while the toad was still alive. Wow. Parrott, a reproductive biologist at Zoos Victoria, said another astonishing finding was the size of the dead toads. While only 2.5% of the toads in the region were classified as large toads, the big toads made up 74% of the body count. This suggested the rats were specifically targeting the biggest toads. Water rats are quite large themselves, Parrott said. They have the power to subdue larger toad and get a bigger payload, get that larger heart and larger liver. By killing those larger toads, it may be easier to avoid the toxic organs like the gallbladder. This could have a positive effect for other native animals because the largest toads are more toxic and more dangerous. Parrott hopes other water rats around the country could develop the same technique and help halt the march of the toad, but said other measures were needed. The water rats could protect small areas and could slow the progression of the toad, she said. There have been anecdotal reports of water rats killing cane toads across Queensland and the Northern Territory, but there are so many hundreds of millions of cane toads, those areas could get swamped. It's a major issue for our native predators. I'm laughing inside because she said those areas could get swamped, and that's where I tend to think toads come from, the swamp, but I'm an idiot. The researchers hypothesized that the rats either learned from scratch by figuring out which parts of the toad made them sick, or already had previous experience from eating Australian native toxic frogs. Either way, Parrott said it was likely helped by the fact that rats spend a lot of time raising their children. The parents have quite a long period of care with their offspring. The baby rats will stay with their mother, and they can learn from their parents. It would make very good sense that the parents are teaching their children how to kill those cane toads and avoid those poisonous areas. And it is very possible that those children will spread to other areas and teach their children how to kill and eat those biggest toads. Circle of life. Other animals like crows and kites. What's a kite? I have no idea. Have been observed turning cane toads inside out to avoid the toxic skin and only eat non-poisonous organs, the report said. Parrott said her focus was now on promoting water rat conservation. The rats face threats from pollution of waterways, can be caught in fishing line and discarded balloons, and hunted by stray cats, foxes, and dogs. The findings show the intelligence of our native rodents, she said. A lot of people don't really know we have native rodents in Australia. A story like this has really raised their profile and made people not only realize they are very clever, but they are a very beautiful animal we should be protecting. Hear, hear. And we have another one from the register.co.uk. Japanese hotel chain sorry that hackers may have watched guests through bedside robots. Because nothing says Japanese like a bedside robot. I want a bedside robot. Japanese hotel chain His Group, that's capital H, capital I, capital S, Group. I don't know what that means. It's just the name of it, okay? Let's take a step back. Japanese hotel chain His Group has apologized for ignoring warnings that its in-room robots were hackable to allow pervs to remotely view video footage from the devices. The Hen-Na Hotel is staffed by robots. Guests can be checked in by humanoid or dinosaur reception bots before proceeding to their room. Facial recognition tech will let customers into their room, and then a bedside robot will assist with other requirements. However, several weeks ago, a security researcher revealed on Twitter that he had warned His Group in July about the bedbots being easily accessible, noting they sported unsigned code allowing a user to tap an NFC tag to the back of the robot's head and allow access via the streaming app of their choice. Having heard nothing, the researcher made the hack public on 13th of October. The vulnerability allows guests to gain access to cameras and microphones in the robot remotely so they could watch and listen to anyone in the room in the future. The hotel is one of a chain of 10 in Japan, which use a variety of robots instead of meat-based staff. I like that, meat-based. I'm meat-based, you're meat-based. Now I've lost my place. So far, the reference is only to Tapia robots at one hotel, although it is not clear if the rest of the chain uses different devices. The His Group tweeted, "We apologize for any uneasiness caused," according to the Tokyo Reporter. The paper was told that the company had decided the risks of unauthorized access were low. However, the robots have now been updated. The chain has suffered a bunch of other issues with the robots, including problems with voice recognition systems reacting to guests snoring, and a failure of the reception dinosaurs to understand guest names. Well, that's what happens when you hire dinosaurs. Terrible employees. Especially the ones with the little arms. This guy used to sing about fucking a dog. Now he's working with top scientists and the Army. From ArmyTimes.com, Army partners with former Blink-182 founders' UFO research company to study alien technology. I know my Blink-182. I know what they sang about. Much like the universe, the military's affiliation with alien-related subject matter appears to be ever expanding. In 2017, the Pentagon confirmed the existence of a program that existed from 2007 to 2012, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, that was dedicated solely to investigating reports of UFO sightings. The Navy then verified the authenticity of a declassified 2015 video released by former Blink-182 frontman Tom DeLonge, his company, To the Stars Academy, featuring a bizarre encounter between Navy pilots and a high-speed, low-altitude, unidentified flying object. This April, the Navy confirmed it was drafting a fleet-wide message to establish guidelines for pilots and other military personnel to report UFO sightings, the culmination of a surge in what the Navy called a series of intrusions by advanced aircraft on Navy carrier strike groups. We're being invaded. I think we might have been invaded a long time ago. We're just now realizing it. Now the Army has joined the extraterrestrial fray in a big way, inking a contract with DeLonge's TTSA to collaborate in the study of exotic metals that both parties hope will lead to the development of advanced technologies. As part of the agreement, the Army's Ground Vehicle Systems Center and Ground Vehicle Survivability and Protection component will lend research resources, including laboratories, to TTSA, which in turn will leverage what the company asserts are alien metals capable of enhancing the effectiveness of Army vehicles. To the Stars claims to have acquired, designed, or produced these materials, which can offer an array of futuristic modifications like active camouflage, beamed energy propulsion, inertial mass reduction, and quantum communication. Those are some lofty claims, sir. Details on how or where DeLonge's company acquired these materials were not provided. TTSA has acquired material from various sources and does not comment on the specifics of each sample. Carrie DeLonge, TTSA Chief Content Officer, and Tom Sister told Vice's Motherboard. The Army will make a $750,000 commitment to TTSA research as part of the 5-year collaboration. Our partnership with TTSA serves as an exciting, non-traditional source for novel materials and transformational technologies to enhance our military ground system capabilities, Dr. Joseph Cannon, Deputy Product Manager of Science and Technology in the Vehicle Protection Systems Division of the GVSC, said in a TTSA press release announcing the contract. That was a hell of a sentence. We look forward to this partnership and the potential technical innovations forthcoming. The Army's contractual agreement comes in the wake of an insistence by a number of former defense officials that the Pentagon take a more aggressive approach to analyzing data surrounding UFO encounters. Former military intelligence official Luis Elizondo, who now works for DeLonge's TTSA after reportedly spearheading the AATIP, told Politico in April that the military's determination to keep such encounters quiet could be detrimental. If you are in a busy airport and see something, you are supposed to say something, he said. With our own military members, it is kind of the opposite. If you do see something, don't say something. What happens in 5 years if it turns out these are extremely advanced Russian aircraft? I'd say unlikely, but I'm not the expert. I just know, can Russia really make extremely advanced aircraft? Are they capable of that? I don't know. Recent measures taken by the Army and Navy would suggest, at least on the surface, an acknowledgement of the concerns of those like Elizondo, who told Motherboard in September that he was heartened by the Navy's new position to address this issue in a serious manner and without the distraction of the social stigma that this phenomena seems to attract. While these Pentagon-led endeavors come sans admission of the existence of alien life, new developments continue to signal a return to Department of Defense acknowledgement that recently documented encounters at least warrant further investigation. To the Stars officials are happy to accommodate that effort. This cooperative research agreement brings additional critically important expertise that is necessary to advance the state-of-the-art in both our near and long-term technology areas of study, Steve Justice, TTSA's COO and Aerospace Division Director, said in the release. While the Army has specific military performance interests in the research, much of the work is expected to have dual-use application in support of TTSA's path to commercialization and public benefit mission. DeLong's team at TTSA is spearheaded by a number of noteworthy officials who have spent significant time in the DoD. Dr. Hal Puthoff, a NASA quantum physicist and DoD advisor, Jim Semivin, a former senior intelligence member of the CIA, and Chris Mellon, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence. I gotta catch my breath. Oh my God. None of these paragraphs are broken up into anything. Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence in both the Clinton and Bush administrations, who was instrumental in creating Special Operations Command, all occupy leadership positions within TTSA. All right, I need to take a little break. Okay, I just have one more thing to read. Then I need to take a steam bath or something. I can't breathe. DeLong's To the Stars Academy team was recently the subject of a 6-part documentary series on the History Channel called Unidentified: Inside America's UFO Investigation. So there's that. The Army, Pentagon, whoever else, all those little letter agencies, finally publicly taking these things seriously. Good to know. Can you speed read? You see people do it. They put their finger on top of the page and they just take it down. They've read the page. Next page. Finger at the top. Bring it down. They've read the page. You've seen people do it, right? Maybe you can do it yourself. I don't know you. Congratulations, though. But now we have something even more advanced than speed reading. Unfortunately, here's the headline. Quantum speed reading courses in China branded utter nonsense. From South China Morning Post, scmp.com. I bet you didn't expect quantum speed reading, did you? Courses claiming to teach children to read more than 100,000 words in minutes have stirred controversy in China after a video of students rapidly flipping through books in a competition went viral on social media. According to a promotional poster seen in the video, the contest was organized by Xin Shitang. I think I said that right. I'll never know. But the education center in Beijing denied it was involved in the event, saying its name was used by another company without its permission, or that it offered such courses, the Beijing News reported on Wednesday. However, several other education centers in China said they did teach the technique, which experts have dismissed as lacking any scientific basis. In the competition video produced by the organizer and shared on news website Pair Video on Monday, the claim is made that by flipping through pages quickly, images start to appear in a reader's mind to help them understand the content. Okay. All right. This is nutty. It says that after 72 classes, students can finish reading a 100,000-word book within 5 minutes. The method, called quantum speed reading, is based on a book by Japanese teacher Yumiko Tobatani, published in 2006. Several tutoring organizations contacted by the Post, located in Ningbo, Zhejiang Province, Chengdu in Sichuan, and Taiyuan in Shaanxi, perhaps. Man, that was a lot of Chinese. Confirmed that they offered courses in quantum speed reading. Representatives of those organizations claim the skill was achieved by developing the right brain, but all of them refused to elaborate. Isn't that always the way? After a period of practicing 5 to 12 days with music and flashcards and with the help of a teacher, a student can feel the images in the book even without flipping through it. They can just feel it in their hands or forehead, said Liu Yazhao, who owns tutoring group Hangdao Culture in Ningbo. But scientists have said the method is completely groundless, and the course have also no shit. And the course have also caught the attention of authorities in Sichuan province, where cyber police in Mianyang shared the competition video on Weibo on Monday with the comment, "New scam?" Yeah, I'd say so. Yuan Lanfeng, a chemist at the University of Science and Technology of China, said the speed reading courses were utter nonsense and just one of the many Chinese products and services that use scientific jargon to try to deceive the public. At the start of the 21st century, there were so many products with the word nano, and now it's changed to quantum, like quantum socks, quantum shoe pads, and now we have quantum speed reading, he said. These ideas are really quite creative. What are quantum socks? Or quantum shoe pads, for that matter? I'm going to have to do a little Google search after this. Get me some quantum socks. Jiang Bingqi, Deputy Director of the 21st Century Educational Research Institute in Beijing, said parents were willing to believe in such courses because of anxiety over their children's academic success. Some of these parents are well educated and they are also financially comfortable, but they become irrational when it comes to their kids' education, hoping they can gain some kind of superpower overnight, Jiang said. They think if their child takes a course that others don't, they'll get opportunities that the other kids don't. This mentality helps these tutoring organizations to survive and even thrive, even though their courses lack any scientific basis, he added. And that's that. Quantum speed reading isn't a thing. You cannot hold a book in your hands or put it to your forehead and have read it. I don't think I need to be saying this. You know this. I know this. We all know this. But you know what? There's a lot of Chinese words in that article. Of course, it's from the South China Morning Post. Granted. I'm getting pretty good at Chinese. And here we go from NewYorkTimes.com. The Weird World of Haunted eBay. Purchase with caution. And along with this article are a lot of pictures from eBay. So if you want to check out the New York Times website, go to www.otheritemsofinterest.com. Take a look in the show notes. You'll find the link you're looking for. So again, The Weird World of Haunted eBay. Purchase with caution. Buyer beware, warns the eBay listing for the haunted vintage antique evil active possessed witch demon doll. That's right. The quote-unquote haunted vintage antique evil active possessed witch demon doll. A lot of good keywords in there for the search function of eBay. So many things have happened when this doll is near, writes Selling Treasure 7. She must go. I cannot have her in my home any longer. The doll, which has been photographed atop a Ouija board, can be purchased for $99.99 plus $7.70 shipping. The Ouija board is not included. And then right up top we have the picture of the doll with the ridiculously long name. I just got obsessed, said the artist Eric Oglander, 31, speaking of the night 2 years ago when he first came across a listing like this one. The item was described as a haunted box, and he immediately began searching for others. That night he captured screenshots of more than 50 similar listings and has been looking for them ever since. And there's some more pictures of haunted items. I'll read you some of the titles here. Haunted. I can't read it. It's kind of blurry. My eyes are getting bad. I'm getting old. Haunted spirit puppies, dog puppy animal antique old figure, no doll paranormal X1. And it's just a little figurine of a dog in a doghouse. So that's haunted. Haunted 16-inch spiritual doll, spirit vessel, supernatural paranormal power. Looks like an average old doll. They took the picture next to a gravestone. Haunted bones, totem, magical, metaphysical. That's only $5.95. Huh. All right, back to the article. Oglander describes himself as a collector of aesthetics, and his material is the ephemera of the world around us. For him, it is not the item on sale, but rather the listing itself, which becomes the object. The listings are a way of containing a story and also telling a story, he said. The images here are taken from his collection. I kind of see it as just a guy making a funny website with funny images of ridiculous people selling weird shit on eBay. That's just me. His previous work includes Craigslist Mirrors. I've seen that. A popular Tumblr site that was published as a book in 2016. Seemingly simple in conceit, it consists exclusively of screenshots of listings of people selling mirrors on Craigslist. The images are funny, poignant, and often unintentionally telling, revealing strange corners of people's lives. And more pictures of haunted items like a ring and just a haunted box with stuff in it. I appreciate the fact that these photos are being taken for the sole intent of selling an object, Oglander said. Once they are put into a new context, however, they can be appreciated as something aesthetic. By collecting the listings in this way, Oglander brings out patterns that may go otherwise unnoticed, and if so, only in passing. And some more pictures. I'm telling you, there's a lot of pictures in this article. It's hard to get through. The haunted eBay listings include many ordinary objects, feathers, coins, pebbles, pieces of wood. Often they are said to be enchanted for luck or for fortune, good or ill. You will be able to feel the vibrational energy from your coin. Must be a positive environment and attitude for it to work, advises one seller. Please note this chip is for money luck only, not general good fortune or finding love, which are different spells, warns another. Other items are said to have powers all their own. Hearing voices is really common. Sounds, faces appearing, Oglander said. But also misfortunes happening, a string of negative events happening in people's lives, like these objects have cursed them. The claims are, of course, difficult to verify. The site's rules dictate that all listings must offer a physical item or a tangible service. Many listings include disclaimers about the object's supernatural attributes, as required per eBay's policy on the sale of paranormal items. This is for the sale of a tangible item only. No promise of a spirit attached, writes one seller. Purchase with caution, writes another. Not recommended for children to play with. Ooh, there's a scary clown. Fuck that. Haunted coins. Spooky corn man in a cornfield. Still, such disclaimers do not entirely prevent instances of negative feedback from disappointed customers, which sellers sometimes address. They often reply and say that you need to exist with it for a while before you start experiencing things, said Oglander. You didn't give it enough time. There's some reviews on items bought. One of them says, I'm disappointed that nothing happened. And no shit, nothing happened. In this context, buyer beware serves as both a disclaimer and as a potential selling point. As one listing put it, I do not take any responsibility for, if anything at all happens, blown fuses, divorce, etc. That's a big jump from blown fuses to divorce. I guess he means everything in between. The item, a vintage teddy bear, sold for $560 after 46 bids. And there's a picture of the teddy bear. Looks like a regular old teddy bear with a bandana around its neck. Not very good quality. When asked if he was superstitious, Oglander said, I guess I believe in spirits. I want to at least hope that there is some magic in the world, some underlying thing we can't see. Still, he has never bought a haunted item. I really suggest you take a look at the website at all the strange items. They're pretty nifty. And here we are with the last story of the show. Headline poses the question, what happens if your mind lives on forever on the internet? From theguardian.com. Imagine that a person's brain could be scanned in great detail and recreated in a computer simulation. The person's mind and memories, emotions, and personality would be duplicated. In effect, a new and equally valid version of that person would now exist in a potentially immortal digital form. This futuristic possibility is called mind uploading. The science of the brain and of consciousness increasingly suggests that mind uploading is possible. There are no laws of physics to prevent it. The technology is likely to be far in our future. It may be centuries before the details are fully worked out, and yet given how much interest and effort is already directed towards that goal, mind uploading seems inevitable. Of course, we can't be certain how it might affect our culture, but as the technology of simulation and artificial neural network shapes up, we can guess what that mind uploading future might be like. Suppose one day you go into an uploading clinic to have your brain scanned. Let's be generous and pretend the technology works perfectly. It's been tested and debugged. It captures all your synapses in sufficient detail to recreate your unique mind. It gives that mind a standard issue virtual body that's reasonably comfortable with your face and voice attached in a virtual environment like a high quality video game. Let's pretend all of this has come true. Who is that second you? The first you, let's call it the biological you, has paid a fortune for the procedure, and yet you walk out of the clinic just as mortal as when you walked in. You're still a biological being, and eventually you'll die. As you drive home, you think, well, that was a waste of money. At the same time, the simulated you wakes up in a virtual apartment and feels like the same old you. It has a continuity of experience. It remembers walking into the clinic, swiping a credit card, signing a waiver, lying on the table. It feels as though it was anesthetized and then woke up again somewhere else. It has your memories, your personality, your thought patterns, and emotional quirks. It sits up in a new bed and says, I can't believe it worked. Definitely worth the cost. I won't call it an it anymore because that mind is a version of you. We'll call it the simulated you. This sim you decide to explore. You step out of your apartment into the sunlight of a perfectly sunny day and find a virtual version of New York City. Sound, smells, sights, people, and feel of the sidewalk underfoot, everything is present, with less garbage though. And the rats are entirely sanitary and put in for local color. You chat up strangers in a way you would never do in the real New York, where you would be worried that an impatient pedestrian might punch you in the teeth. That's kind of true. Here you can't be injured because your virtual body can't break. You stop at a cafe and sip a latte. It doesn't taste right. It doesn't feel like anything is going into your stomach, and nothing is because it isn't real food. And you don't have a stomach. It's all a simulation. The visual detail on the table is imperfect. There's no grittiness to the rust. Your fingers don't have fingerprints. They're smooth to save memory on fine detail. Breathing doesn't feel the same. If you hold your breath, you don't get dizzy because there's no such thing as oxygen in this virtual world. You find yourself equipped with a complimentary simulated smartphone, and you call the number that used to be yours. The phone you had with you just a few hours ago in your experience when you walked into the clinic. Now the biological you answers the phone. Yo, says the sim you. It's me. I mean, it's you. What's up? I'm depressed, that's what. I'm in my apartment eating ice cream. I can't believe I spent all that money for zilch. Zilch? You would not believe what it's like in here. It's a fantastic place. Remember Kevin, the guy who died of cancer last week? He's here too. He's fine. And he still has the same job. He Skypes with his old yoga studio 3 times a week to teach his fitness class. But his girlfriend in the real world has left him for someone who's not dead yet. Still lots of new people to date here. I have to resist getting carried away by the humor of the situation. Underneath the details lies a very real philosophical conundrum that people will eventually have to confront. What is the relationship between bio-you and sim-you? I prefer a geometric way of thinking about the situation. Imagine that your life is like rising stalk of the letter Y. You're born at the base, and as you grow up, your mind is shaped and you change along a trajectory. Then you let yourself be scanned, and from that moment on, the Y has branched. There are now 2 trajectories, each one equally and legitimately you. Let's say the left-hand branch is the simulated you, and the right-hand branch is the biological you. The part of you that lives indefinitely is represented by both the stem of the Y and the left-hand branch. Just as your childhood self lives on in your adult self, the stem of the Y lives on in the simulated self. Once the scan is over, the 2 branches of the Y proceed along different life paths, accumulating different experiences. The right-hand branch will die. Everything that happens to it after the branching point fails to achieve immortality, unless it chooses to scan itself again, in which case another branch appears, and the geometry becomes even more complicated. What emerges is not a single you, but a topologically intricate version, a hyper-you with 2 or more branches. One of those branches is always going to be mortal, and the others have an indefinite lifespan depending on how long the computer platform is maintained. That's a scary thought. Turn the computer off. You might think that since the bio-you lives in the real world and the sim-you lives in the virtual world, the 2 will never meet and therefore should never encounter any complications from coexisting. But these days, who needs to meet in person? We interact mainly through electronic media anyway. The sim-you and the bio-you represent 2 fully functional, interactive, capable instances of you competing within the same larger, interconnected, social and economic universe. You could easily find yourself meeting over video conference. At the simplest level, mind uploading would preserve people in an indefinite afterlife. Families could have Christmas dinner with sim grandma joining in on video conference, the tablet screen propped up at the end of the table, presuming she has time for her bio family anymore, given the rich possibilities in the simulated playground. It's this kind of idealized afterlife that people will have in mind. When they think about the benefits of mind uploading, it's a human-made heaven. But unlike traditional heaven, it isn't a separate world. It's seamlessly connected to the real world. Think of how you interact with the world right now. If you live the typical Western lifestyle, then the smallest part of your life involves interacting with people in the physical space around you. Your connection to the larger world is almost entirely through digital means. The news comes to you on a screen or through earbuds. Distant locations are real to you mainly because you learn about them through electronic media. Politicians, celebrities, even some friends and family may exist to you mainly through data. People work in virtual offices where they know their colleague only through video and text. Each of us might as well already be in a virtual world with a steady flow of information passing in and out through CNN, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and text. We live in a kind of multiverse, each of us in a different virtual bubble. The bubbles occasionally merging in real space and then separating, but always connected through the global social network. If a virtual afterlife is created, the people in it, with the same personalities and needs that they had in real life, would have no reason to isolate themselves from the rest of us. Very little needs to change for them. Socially, politically, economically, the virtual and the real worlds would connect into one larger and always expanding civilization. The virtual world might as well be simply another city on Earth filled with people who have migrated to it. We've always lived in a world where culture turns over with each generation, but what happens when the older generations never die but remain just as active in society? There's no reason to think that the living will have any political, economic, or intellectual advantage over the simulated. Think of the jobs people have in our world. Many of them require physical action, and those are jobs that will probably be replaced by automatons. Taxi driver, publicly shared self-driving cars are almost here. Street cleaners, checkout operators, construction workers, pilots. All of these jobs are probably for the chopping block in the medium to long term. Robotics and artificial intelligence will take them over. The rest of our jobs, our contributions to the larger world, are done through the mind, and if the mind can be uploaded, it can keep going the same job. politician can work from cyberspace just as well as from the real space. So can a teacher or a manager or a therapist or a journalist or the guy in the complaints department. The CEO of a company, a Steve Jobs type who has shaped up a sweet set of neural connections in his brain that makes him exceptional at his work, can manage from a remote simulated office. If he must shake hands, he can take temporary possession of a humanoid robot, a kind of shared rent-a-bot, and spend a few hours in the real world, meeting and greeting. Even calling it the real world sounds prejudicial to me. Both worlds would be equally real. Maybe the better term is the foundation world and the cloud world. The foundation world would be full of people who are mere youngsters, mainly under the age of 80, who are still accumulating valuable experience. Their unspoken responsibility would be to gain wisdom and experience before joining the ranks of the cloud world. The balance of power and culture would shift rapidly to the cloud. How could it not? That's where the knowledge, experience, and political connections will accumulate. In that scenario, the foundation world becomes a kind of larval stage for immature minds, and the cloud world is where life really begins. Mind uploading could transform our culture and civilization more profoundly than anything in our past. And that was written by, I'm losing my voice. That was written by Michael Graziano. He's a professor of psychology and neuroscience at Princeton University. Very interesting stuff. Well, I guess that's the end of the show now. I'll say bye-bye. Try to get my voice back. You can visit us online at www.otheritemsofinterest.com. You can email us at otheritemsofinterestpod@gmail.com. You can find us at Instagram at otheritemspod and Twitter, I guess, at otheritems. So, I had a good time this week. I hope you did too. I'm going to end this one with a knock-knock joke. All right, here it goes. Knock, knock. And then you say, who's there? I'll do that for you, okay? Knock, knock. Who's there? Cue the music. Welcome to the end of the show. I'm glad you made it this far. Most people don't. They usually off themselves before this point. This is the music that plays. Pretty nifty. A little sitar. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you again next week, folks. Bye-bye.